Hello, everybody. This is Lynn Bryant, the CPA in Hurst, Texas. This is my second podcast, this video. Thank you for watching. I got some very nice emails about that. One not so nice email, but other than that, very nice emails and with lots of appreciation, and I'm happy that we can be here for you. So let's talk about some really good topics today. I know that the Senate has passed this. We're waiting on the House to vote. I don't know when that vote's going to happen, but there are some things that we feel very secure about, and there's some things that have already been passed, and we're going to tell you about those. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is unemployment. Unemployment will be enhanced. You will be able to get $600 more each week. And for the first time ever, independent contractors will be eligible for this as well. The way that they state this is freelancers, gig economy workers, and basically they mean independent contractors. So you'll need to go and file for that. That's an online application. That site will be slammed. So I encourage you to get in line as soon as you can. What we have found is the internet bogs down. Everybody's home, kids are gaming and all of this. We lose connection a lot. We have some very unusual cell phone conversations with people. We're getting every third word. So there's just a stress on the infrastructure here. So get up early and do it, or do it very late at night when the traffic is less, but you want to file sooner rather than later. You want to get in that line, okay? The second thing is the SBA disaster loan. When I talked to you Sunday night, I told you that Texas hadn't been approved, and that was incorrect, and thank you for the guy that had to email and tell me that. But just remember this. We're working really hard. Some of our information won't be complete. Every once in a while, I'm going to be incorrect, but I'm not going to sit around and wait for the exact knowledge and get that to you. I'm going to get that to you in a speedy fashion. So bear with me if I'm not perfect. And so the disaster loan, he applied for that last Tuesday, Governor Abbott, and in record lightning speed, he got approved Friday afternoon. I had gone on the site and checked Friday morning, and it wasn't approved yet. So when I spoke to Sunday night, I told you it wasn't, but it is. But here's the problem. The site wasn't ready for the capacity of loans that people needed, and it's crashed. So let me tell you the website. It's not up, but here it is. Sorry, I have paper all around me to tell you this. Basically, where would I put that? Basically, the website is www.sba.gov/disaster. Here's the thing. The note now says, thank you for visiting the SBA Disaster Loan Assistance Portal. The portal will be undergoing maintenance. The portal will not be available during the planned maintenance period. Okay, how long is that going to last? We don't know. So here's what we're going to do instead. We managed to get through and get the paper application. I would encourage you to email us at frontdesk@lwbpc.com. Let us scan and send this paper application to you. You sit down and fill it all out, have all the numbers ready, so that when the site is open, you can go in and do it all at one time. You don't have to stop and go, well, where's that? And this and that and the other, right? You'll have it all at your fingertips ready to put it in. And again, I would do it early in the morning or late at night. This money's going to run out. It's up to $2 million, depending on who you are and what you do. I'd get in there first and apply for it, but I'd have this paper filled out so I could apply very quickly. Okay, so there's that. The next thing is the $1,200 check that you're going to get. It's not going to be as easy as you think, but let's talk about that. It's a one-time direct payment to Americans. They're going to use your 2018 tax return information to judge eligibility, and also to get your bank account information. They're going to try to direct deposit this. So they've handed this off to the IRS. If you filed a 19 return, they'll use that data instead. So if your bank account has changed since you filed the return, that's a problem. If you filed a return and you didn't supply bank account information, I have several clients that always want to mail their return. They said, I don't want the IRS to know about my bank account. And so they mail their return in with their check, and they won't know about your bank account electronically, okay? So you may have to wait for a paper check. if your bank account has changed, it's going to bounce back, and then you're going to have to wait for a paper check. If you are over the income requirement, 75,000 is where you start phasing out for individuals. And once you 150 for married filing jointly, for every $100 over that, they take $5 off of that payment. So it's $1,200 for an adult, $500 for your dependents, $1,200 for your wife. And those amounts will obviously phase out. And they phase out at double the amount, right? So you could not get a check. And it could be that a 2018 was a banner year for you. And your income, you've retired, your income has dropped dramatically. If you had some one-time events where those tax returns show higher income, you're going to have to call the IRS now and tell them why you would be eligible now, because your income is below that. Those phone lines are going to be backed up, and it's going to be very hard for you to get through. So this payment is not fraught without problems. Additionally, if you're behind on your filing, they're not going to have anything to gauge on you. Also, if maybe you've graduated from college and you didn't file 2019 is going to be your first year, right? That you filed and you haven't filed yet. So you're not in their system. Or you graduated from college in December and now you're working. Again, that's a phone call you're going to have to make to the IRS. And for those people that don't file returns, either because they don't qualify, they're on Social Security, or they're veterans on disability, you're going to have to call to get that because you're not in the system, you haven't filed. At one point, we thought they were going to merge the Social Security database and the veterans database with this, because they usually electronically deposit your checks. We don't know how that's going to work now, because the Social Security Administration isn't run by the Internal Revenue Service. So that could delay the payments. For those of you that are not in the country legally and you don't file returns at all, but you're totally eligible based on the income level, you'd have to call the IRS. That would be a very interesting phone call. And you would have to tell them about yourself. And so many of you, your income is too high and you're not going to qualify for this. But those of you that do, this won't come on April 6th. I don't think it's going to happen that fast. I think it's going to be later in April. At one point, they talked about 2 payments, one April 6th and one 6 weeks later in May, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's just going to be one. But again, we're waiting on the bill to pass and we'll know for sure. The next thing is that the tax deadline was extended. It was extended from April 15th to July 15th. It was extended for individuals, C corporations, and trusts. Also, your estimated tax payment, that if you make them, and some people make them because they have investment income or rental income, or they're in partnerships, they have sources of income that don't withhold income tax. And so they have to make quarterly estimated tax payments. For an individual, your estimated tax payments are due April 15th, June 15th, September 15th, and January of the following year. They have taken the April 15th payment and delayed it to July 15th. So let's think about mechanically how that would work. Technically, your second payment due June 15th, you'd have to make your second payment first on June 15th. Then you'd have to make your first payment due next month on July 15th. And 2 months later on September 15th, you have your third payment. So in a 4-month period, you've made 3 estimated tax payments. That's quite the burden. I'm hopeful that they will do something about that, but that's quite the burden. For corporations, your payments are due. You can be calendar or fiscal year. So they're due your 4th, 6th, 9th, and 12th month. So if your 4th month is April 15th, your payment is deferred again until July 15th, which means you've got one in June. So technically your second payment becomes your first payment. Anyway, that's how that is working out right now. So we'll keep you posted if that changes. The next thing is that, okay, here's a bit of a problem. And we knew this was going to be a problem. Let's say that you've already come in here and you filed your tax return and you owed, and you were, before all of this, set up for the money to be swept on April 15th. We've pushed the button. The return's been accepted by the IRS. We can't pull it back. So if you've already done that, you can call them. We sent an email out yesterday and we gave you the number. People are getting through on that number and they are canceling your payment that is due April 15th. But remember this, you have to reschedule your payment. This is not something I can do for you. The taxpayer is going to have to make that phone call, and you're going to have to remember to reschedule your payment. You can't reschedule your payment right away. You can only reschedule your payment 30 days out from when you want to make it. So you can't say, let me go ahead and cancel, and let me go ahead and reschedule for July 15th. You can, on June 16th, go in and schedule. See, there's your 30 days to July 5th, June 15th. Yeah, you'd schedule for your July 15th payment, or you can schedule up to the day before. Don't schedule your payment for July 15th on July 15th because the system needs 1 day to sweep it. So you'll need to reschedule, but no later than July 14th. Okay, we did send that email out. It confused you. People that were getting refunds were calling up thinking they were supposed to cancel their payments. No, what we in our system couldn't cancel it. So last week we thought, well, okay, since they've moved it to July 15th, let's override the software in the computer. So we went in, we put that payment date for July 15th. Everything ran, we submitted. IRS rejected the return. So our software provider now is working on a capability for us to automatically do it. But if you are here and you are going to owe, I'm not going to submit your return until we get this kink worked out. So again, we talked about this on Sunday night. Let's go over sort of my policy on how I'm working through this. I'm trying to finish all my businesses this week because they're going to be applying for loans and the shareholders that go along with those businesses. Then behind that, I'm coming and I'm going to file for the people that I think are getting refunds. Sometimes in the past, people have not paid in what they needed to and they owe, and that might have changed. I did get an email from someone who said, turned over a new leaf. I've, made all those payments. I think I'm going to get a refund. So they want to be in the refund stack and not the I'm going to owe stack. So the refund stack, Sunday night, Barbara and I are going to work through that. And if you've been in here the longest or your need is greater, and I'll know that, we're going to push you to the forefront. And those that are getting a refund where your need isn't as great as some of those other people are going to be in that wave, but they're going to be at the end of that wave. Bear with us. If you keep calling our office asking if your return is due, it can't get done because we're spending time on the telephone telling you it's not ready yet. As soon as it's ready and we're working on it, we're going to contact you. Then those people they're going to owe are going to be my last wave because I really didn't want to file you before April 15th. Here's where the problem is, and here's where we've got to communicate with each other. Let's say you're going to go refinance your house or your building. Well, in that case, you're going to need a tax return. And if you owe, the underwriters are going to want to see the bank statement that the payment for the tax is cleared on. So last year, I refinanced my house. I did some major renovations, did my tax return. I didn't submit it. I just gave them a copy, and they came back and said, we need to see where the $4,000 that you owed cleared your bank. I'm like, well, oh my God, I didn't push the button. So I'd push the button and wait for it to sweep out and then get a printout from the bank showing that it had cleared. So for those of you that are going to refinance, you're going to need your tax return and you're going to need to prove that you made the payment. Let's coordinate on that one, okay? So the bank called me yesterday. I had talked to her a couple of weeks ago about my commercial building. My rate's at 4.75, and I'd said, listen, can we do something about that? Very nice. Called me yesterday and said, we're going to drop it to 3.75. Awesome. I didn't even have to refinance. I have a 5-year balloon and it expires next year. She said, I'll just do an amendment to the loan and drop your rate to 3.75. It's due next July anyway. And then I just do a fixed loan then, go for 5 more years because banks on commercial property tend to do 5-year balloons. Anyway, I said, at some point I may have to talk to you about deferring these payments. She said, we expect that. So let's just say that again. My banker said, we expect that, and we're giving 90 days interest only. So for those of you that have commercial property or commercial loans or anything for your business or even individuals, right, reach out to your banker. They're expecting this. This is an unusual black swan event, and they're expecting this and they're working with us. So just know that that is so possible, and it's not going to ruin your credit because we're sort of all in this together. All right, last thing I want to talk to you about, and I'm having a Zoom call at 4 o'clock this afternoon with my business owners. A couple of things came through in a typical government fashion. They didn't give you all the data. They kind of are sliding it into us, and now we've caught on to this. So basically, here is what this said. It said, For employers with less than 500 employees, we expect for you to pay your people 2 weeks, but not to exceed 80 hours of sick leave if they're quarantined. So if you have part-time people, you're only going to pay for 2 weeks. I got this question. What if they only make 70 hours in a payroll period? No, we're not going to take 10 out of the next one. We're just going to do one payroll period of 2 weeks. The payroll period could span 2 different months, right? Because we're kind of at the end of March. So we could have a payroll period now, and the other part of the 2 weeks could actually be in April. So you need to pay them. And said if you want a waiver because your employee is home with a child who school has closed and you don't have a daycare provider, you can get an exemption for that. But you can't get an exemption, as we understand it now. We're waiting for clarification. So if the guy wants to send me the email again, tell me I don't have my facts right. This is what we know. We know right now that the waiver is only given for people that have employees whose children are home and they can't go to school because the school is closed or the daycare provider is unavailable. So it says you're going to have to pay them. But here's the thing they didn't tell you right off. There is a U.S. Treasury payroll tax reduction. All right, so let's say this in English. Let's say that Susie works for you and Susie makes $2,000 in that 80-hour 2-week period. Well, let's say Susie's payroll taxes, including your employer match, is $500. They're going to say, don't make the payroll tax deposit. You're going to get that waived for $500. Subtract that off of Susie's $2,000 that you had to pay her, and that leaves $1,500 that you're out. There is a form, which doesn't exist yet, but the form that's going to exist, they told us by the end of the week, is going to be for you to apply to get your $1,500 back that you paid to Susie. So essentially, we have to jump through a little bit of hoops, but you're going to get all this back that you paid. This has nothing to do with the 250% loan that, I don't know exactly how it's worded in the bill right now, but basically it's going to pay for 2 months of payroll. This has nothing to do with that. This has to do with sick leave because you're quarantined. You have the coronavirus. You're caring for someone that has the coronavirus. Your child is out of school because the school shut down, or you don't have a daycare provider. Now, if the child is out of school, the rules are only different. They're a little different. They're 2/3 of payroll. There's caps on this. I'm not going to go into all of that here. I'll go into my 4 o'clock Zoom call. If you're my client and I have failed to invite you to the 4 o'clock Zoom call, would you send me an email and I'll include you? We didn't purposely leave you out. We're just kind of running with our hair on fire here. And but doing really well. We're doing really well. And since we're essential, we're here. And since we're filming, we have hair and makeup. And so anyway, if you have any questions, it'd be great if you just send them to frontdesk@lwbpc.com instead of calling. We've gotten some calls that weren't really necessary. And so for those of you that wanted to know, do you have to fill the census out? Yes, you have to fill the census out. And if you don't go online and fill it out, they're going to mail you a paper census form. And if you don't fill that out, they're going to come knock on your door. So yes, but that's a little outside the purview of what we do. So if you could hold those calls for now, we'd be appreciative. At any rate, we're here for you. We're doing well. We hope you're doing well. You might be stir crazy at home. Clean those closets out. I talked to someone this morning that said the virus couldn't live in my house. It's so clean. It's so clean like nothing could live in this. Anyway, I'm like, would you go to my house? I could use some help. Hope you're doing well. Take care. We'll be talking to you again. Definitely by Sunday, maybe before, depending on what the bill says. Just remember, we're here working for you and we love you. Take care.